Welcome back to Tanya in 5. Today, we recap the second letter in section 22 of book 4, Iggeret HaKodesh. In this letter, the Alter Rebbe appeals to his followers, to his Hasidim, with two requests that on a deeper level are really one. The first request is, he appeals to them to strengthen and deepen their commitment to prayer. Tells them to pray with pronouncing each word aloud with intense concentration, and explains that this concentration in prayer and in the connection to God forged through prayer is not simply because I appreciate or understand or enjoy prayer, but rather with a deep sense of conviction and desire which says, I want to pray, I need to pray, I've decided to pray, I decided I need to connect to God, and therefore I'm going to forge forward irrespective of whatever distractions might be in my mind or in the world around me. A prayer and a connection to God based on conviction and a deep desire beyond I appreciate, I understand, I like, or I enjoy. Number 2, he says, he appeals to his Hasidim and says, we have to be sure to look at our fellow Jew with a positive eye. It is not our job, he says, to be thinking, is our friend worthy? He really needs to clean up his act in this area. He fails here. He's missing that. It's not our business. That's between him and God. Our job is to remember that which our sages teach, be humble before every man, because indeed, every Jew you meet has something to teach you. Every Jew excels in some area and can contribute to my growth. Everything else, not my business. He says we have to look at the totality of the Jewish people the way it is from the spiritual perspective. From the spiritual perspective, it's not simply a bunch of individual Jews who come together to create the totality of the Jewish people. No. From the spiritual perspective, there is really only one singular Jewish soul. A great spiritual body, if you will. And this spiritual body, this one singular soul, is divided into a bunch of physical bodies. But in essence, it's all one great spiritual body. And just like it is with the physical body, how each limb has its role to play, and by each limb playing its role, it brings completion and wholeness to every other limb, so it is with the Jewish people. Each individual Jew, as part of the totality of the spiritual body of Jews, has his specific role to play, and can contribute to every other individual Jew, who in turn contributes to the totality of the great Jewish spiritual body known as Am Yisroel, the Jewish soul. And this then is the proper way to pray and connect to God. One cannot connect to God and say, oh, I'm an individual separated from all other Jews. That's a finger separating itself from the rest of the body and trying to live on its own. It can't do that. To truly connect with God, I must be whole and complete, and that is only when I am connected with the larger body of the Jewish people, connected and one with who I truly am, which is to be one with every other Jew. This is not just a question of behavior and talk and speech, not to talk negatively about another Jew and not to behave negatively towards another Jew, God forbid. This is really a question of thought and even feeling. We should only be thinking positively about other Jews. Our thoughts are much more closely related to our souls than our action and our speech, and therefore we must guard our thoughts that it too is filled with only positive thoughts about our fellow Jew, and hopefully even positive feelings towards our fellow Jew. The takeaway from all of this is, Ahavat Yisroel, to love our fellow Jew, is not just a question of being a nice guy and doing favors for our fellow. That's a good start. That's not the essence of it. The essence of it is, how do I look at other Jews? What do I feel about other Jews? Do I think condescendingly about my fellow Jew? Or do I look at every other Jew and I see a beautiful soul, something that can contribute to the world and does indeed contribute to the world? Do I see in my fellow Jew a soul that's an extension of my soul? Because we are all one big spiritual body. Not just a question of how I act towards other Jews, but how do I feel and think about a fellow Jew? And if I think of my fellow Jew as it is in truth, as an extension of my own soul, then I can have a true, proper, soulful prayer. Looking forward to seeing you when we conclude Letter 23.